Happy Monday. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for tuning in for another Monday Midday Cruise Q&A. I am RacQuelle from MHFamilyAdventures. And when I'm not cruising, I go live on Mondays to answer your cruise questions, whatever cruise questions you may have, whether you are thinking about cruising, you are a veteran cruiser, you just want to hear more about cruising, I am here to answer your questions. I'm also the owner of Major Adventures Travel Agency, where I help you plan your cruise vacation. So if you are looking to plan a cruise vacation, feel free to reach out. I would love to assist you. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Let me make sure I'm live over on Facebook. But appreciate you guys being here. Let's see here, make sure my sound and everything. I think I'm okay. But welcome in, everyone. I appreciate you guys being here. Welcome into CCATS. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. We appreciate all of your support. Living and Cooking says hello, MH Family Adventures. Hope you are doing well on this Monday. And it feels like a Monday. It's been a very busy Monday. I just got back. If you guys have been following, I was on board an ultra luxury cruise. Whether it was ultra or not, you have to watch the vlog to find that out. But just got back. When did I get back? Saturday? What's today? Monday? I think I got back Saturday. So still trying to get back into gear of being home for a very short stay. But I am currently home. It's cold here in Ohio. I yesterday relaxed, made a huge pot of gumbo. So today after this live stream, I'm calling it a day and I'm going to relax and sit by the fireplace. So hopefully you have some warm weather wherever you are. It's quite cold. I think the high today was like 38. So it was like 20 something degrees this morning. But welcome in, Sapphire. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for being here. And shout out to all of our channel members who are watching. We appreciate you guys being here as well. Marjorie, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. I see your countdown is on for your NCL cruise. Thanks for being here. Song says, good afternoon. Hope all is well with you and the family. We're doing well. We're doing well. Jo Marie turns 10 this week. So she has a little birthday celebration happening, and just, the boys keeping us busy. So everyone's done well. Rhonda's, working as always. Let's see here. Living and Cooking, welcome into you. Gloria Jackson, thank you so much for being here. Says, good afternoon, everyone. Unlearn and Eat says, hello, everyone. How's the weather? It's cold here. Yeah, it's cold here too. Welcome in, Debbie. Appreciate you being here. Living and Cooking says, 80 degrees here in Florida. Nice. It's like times of the year I miss Florida weather, and then other times I don't. Like, we actually just jumped a whole season because we only had, I'm thinking, a week, maybe 2 weeks of fall, and fall is my favorite season. So we went from having like 60-degree weather to now we're in the 30s. So I think we're going to have one heck of a winter this year. Welcome in, DeAndre. Appreciate you being here. Will G, welcome in, welcome in. Ray Ray's Life, welcome in, welcome in. Bryce says, happy Monday Midday Cruise Q&A. Dr. Mrs. Cruise Lady in chat. Thank you so much, Bryce, for being here. I really appreciate that. Let's see here. Drea says, good afternoon. Glad to catch us live from the beginning. Yes, fall has arrived in the show me state. Yes, welcome in. Appreciate you being here, Drea. Will says it's 84 degrees and sunny in Central Texas. That's my kind of weather. That is my kind of weather. All right, guys, if you are new here, again, I'm Raquel from MH Family Adventures, and I go live on Mondays whenever I am not cruising to answer cruise questions that you may have. So if you have any cruise questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. I just got off of my 82nd cruise since 2019, so I'm pretty knowledgeable when it comes to cruising. I've cruised pretty much all of the major cruise lines. I'm now starting to merge my way into the luxury sector, river cruising. So I'm really trying to expand my cruise knowledge, my cruise experience, so that I can share with you guys and I can assist my clients with their cruise vacations. So feel free to ask any questions you may have about cruising, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you are a travel agent, I've been sharing some tips, tricks for travel agents. We'll kind of make this one like once or twice a month. Or once every 2 months, I try to go live and just talk about being a travel agent, content creator. If you have any of those questions, feel free to throw those in the chat as well. We'll kind of make this a mix of things because I probably won't be live for at least the next 2 Mondays because I have some things coming up. So we'll kind of just combine those there. Welcome in. Tracy says, countdown to MSC. Yes, yes. Living says, we used to live near Charlotte. Nice. All right, go start dropping your questions as I'm here to answer your question. If you don't have any questions, I'll go get back on the couch because I was actually working from the living room today because that's where the fireplace is. And I like to stay warm and cozy. So it's kind of a perfect spot. I have like a adjustable desk that I put out there. And that's where I was. So if you don't have questions, I will go back to what I was doing. But drop your questions in the chat. If you're on Facebook, thank you so much for watching in from Facebook. And if you missed yesterday's vlog, I did release a vlog, my first part from my Crystal Cruises vacation cruise, my first time ultra luxury. I shared part one. I was trying to put it all together as one vlog because it was only a 4-day cruise, but it was just going to be too long. It was going to be like 2 hours long. So I just released one part. I'll have the other part out. I'm hoping Wednesday. That is my goal. If I can find time to edit. But overall, I had an amazing time on Crystal Cruises. I will tell you this, Crystal Cruises is not for everyone. I got so many questions about the cost. I got so many questions about what is luxury and why, some people felt it didn't look luxurious based off some of the pictures I shared. Some people had questions about the diversity on board. So we'll talk more about that at a later time because I do plan to do a live stream as well as an ultimate review of my time on board Crystal. I will tell you that I liked it enough to where I am planning to be on board in 2028 when their new ships come out. Will says just got off the Seascape inaugural out of Galveston. Nice. Yeah, I saw a lot of creators on board for that sailing. A lot of creators, and I heard it was a great time. Seascape was actually my very first media event. I was invited by MSC. It wasn't a cruise, but it was just a media event that they had in New York, and they invited me to come on board for the day. So that was my very first media event. So I have not actually sailed on MSC Seascape, but I do have a full ship tour available on the channel. Unlearn says, I appreciate your travel agent series. Absolutely. Absolutely. I get asked all the time questions about being a travel agent, having a business, and so much that it's like, people are like, do you mentor? Would you mind assisting me? And I hate to say no, but I'm to a point in my life where I have to just say no because I'm just too busy. I don't like to commit to something that I can't fully commit to. And I don't want to tell somebody, yes, I'm here to help you, ask your questions, and then I can't respond because I'm too busy. So I figured just kind of sharing little tidbits here and there would be helpful to some. I am not in the business of necessarily coaching travel agents. I am not a MLM, which is multi-level marketing travel agency. We only hire family. So we're not looking to bring on agents to make more money or anything like that. I'm just really trying to be helpful to those who are looking to get started or who may have gotten started and just trying to maybe figure some things out. And I do it that way because it's just easier for me because of the number of questions that I get. It's hard for me to answer individual questions just because it's a lot. But yes. Ray Ray says, how's Andrew liking his job? He's liking it so far so good. He's only done one sailing. So he if you guys don't know, Andrew is our son. He has autism, and he graduated high school last year, the year before year before last year, and he's just kind of struggled trying to find work, and he's working in a work program, but we hired him on as part of our agency, part of MHFamilyAdventures, to help with the actual um videography whenever I'm cruising, especially when I'm cruising solo, because it's always hard to capture things when you're solo. And so he did go on Holland America with me. That was his first gig. He was scheduled on Norwegian Gem with me, but he had another opportunity to come, so we canceled that cruise for him. But he will be on an upcoming sailing with me again soon. Says, because I'm sorry, I don't know why the usernames are coming out kind of quirky. It says, we have the refreshment package for Royal. Do they have mocktails at Coco Cay? They do. They have mocktails. So if you have the refreshment package for Royal, it'll include like specialty coffee, bottled water, soda, milkshakes, juice, and then virgin drinks. So you can ask pretty much for any drink to be virgin, but they do have mocktails there. Bryce says, did you have to go abroad for the Crystal? No, I didn't. So Crystal Cruises, their theme is that they follow the sun. They don't really have a home port per se, and they move across the globe all year long. So I picked this cruise up in Fort Lauderdale, and it ended in San Juan, and then the cruise after me started in San Juan, and it will end in Barbados. And then from Barbados, I think it goes back to San Juan, and then from San Juan, I think it's going to South America or somewhere. So it's like constantly moving. So I did not have to go abroad for that one. I did fly home from San Juan. Debbie says, "Are you going to book Carnival Festival?" I am already booked on Carnival Festival. I will not be on the first sailing because we have our New Orleans land and sea cruise with fellow content creators. If you're looking to get on board Carnival Dream when it repositions to New Orleans, we are doing a 2-night stay in New Orleans and going to have some New Orleans themed activities and things happening there in New Orleans because it's my favorite city. And then we are going to get on board Carnival Dream for the 4-night sailing. And there was a day conflict with the inaugural for festival. So won't be on the first sailing, but I think we're booked for the second or third sailing. Amy says, "Are you still navigating 2 careers?" I am not. If you are new here, I'm a I'm going to say retired school principal. I was in education 19 years and I quit 2 years ago. This is year 3 of me not being in the school system. So I started operating my agency 4 years ago, very part-time while I was still in the school system. And then things really started to pick up with me creating content. And then I had an issue at work where I got injured by a student, took some time off. During that time, I was cruising more regularly and I noticed a big influx in the business. And I said, you know, I'm going to take a year off just to see where this goes. And thankfully, it has gone pretty well. We've hit 2 million in sales this year alone. And it's just every year it's gotten better and better. And so I'm to the point where I don't have to go back, thankfully, because you all support our agency and then just posting on social media and YouTube. So no, I'm not currently navigating 2 careers. If 2 careers I'm currently navigating would be content creation and travel agent, because those are 2 separate things. And I do both. So I get paid on the content creation side as well as a travel agent or a travel agency owner. So yeah, I'm no longer a school administrator. Do have my doctorate, still have my certification. So if I ever needed to go back, I could. But at this point in my life, don't think I'm going back. Dre says, "Have you cruised out of Galveston? If so, any hotel recommendations?" I've only cruised out of Galveston once, and I just shared with somebody that I need to probably get back there. And it was probably 3 years ago on Prima. When Prima did its inaugural sailing out of Galveston, I was invited on board. And that was the only time I cruised out of Galveston. We will actually be in Galveston this year, though, 2026. So we'll be back there. So I don't have any hotel recommendations from experience, but I just encourage my clients to stay near whichever Houston airport they fly into and to get on the shuttle and go. Or if it's a larger family, I get a lot of families that will stay near the airport, get a one-way rental to Galveston, because a lot of times doing a one-way rental on Enterprise is going to be cheaper than getting the shuttle services, which average about $40 per person. Amy says, "What is the furthest and shortest advance do you book your cruises?" I'm booked now through 2027, but I'm limiting when I book and how I book my cruises because thankfully we're starting to get a lot of opportunities that kind of come in last minute. For instance, the whole Crystal Cruises thing kind of came last minute. So I'm trying to keep wiggle room there so that when those opportunities come, I'm not penalized because I mean, even as a travel agent, if I book a cruise, I'm paying, um, sorry, David Ruffin's broken. 'Cause I think Dice just got home. So like when I pay my deposits, more than likely I pay a non-refundable deposit because it's the lowest deposit. So I try not to book. Now I'm not booking too far out because I want to save some room just in case those opportunities come in. But I've booked cruises for, the next couple of weeks. So I booked very last minute, but for the most part, I book in advance because it's cheaper to book in advance. And usually the short notice cruises are the ones that are hosted or sponsored. Dre says best way to get to port. Galveston Express is a popular one. I think it's $35 to $40 per person. The cruise lines it's about $45 per person. So usually is Galveston Express. They usually have the cheaper shuttle to port. But if you're cruising with, I'm gonna say if you're cruising with 3 or 4 people, I've had clients get like a one-way rental for like $70 to the port. And so sometimes that's cheaper. And then I'm pretty sure it's Enterprise or budget. And then they have free shuttle from their facility to the cruise terminal. Welcome in, Regina. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Liam says, welcome in. Liam says, do you feel relaxed after your Butler cruise? I do feel very relaxed. I think with luxury, it's just a more serene experience. It's not as upbeat. There's not a lot going on. So you really have time to reflect and relax and rejuvenate. And that's exactly what I did. If you missed it, I did have a butler for this cruise, which was my first time ever even having a butler or dealing with a butler. I didn't know what to do, what to request. My butler is very persistent and I needed to utilize him. So I did a little bit, but it was very nice. Isa Black, welcome in, says we have to deal with school schedules, but what part of June, July, August is best for a smaller number of kids? I would say the very beginning of June, the very end of August. A lot of school districts don't get out until like that first or second week of June, and they usually go back. Well, now it seems like a lot of schools go back Labor Day. So families try to squeeze in those last minute things. I would say if you're trying to avoid a lot of kids, you probably are better to wait till September or also go in May. But June, July, August, regardless, there's going to be kids, even on some of the cruise lines that aren't necessarily designed for kids. For instance, celebrity cruises. You're going to find more kids on a celebrity cruise. Not a lot of kids, not like you would find on Carnival or Royal, but you're going to find like even more kids on like celebrity cruise in the summertime than you would off season. So June, July, August, just expect there to be kids. If you want to have a lesser amount, beginning June before families really get into their summer breaks, or the very end of August before they go back to school. Debbie Lynn says, is FlexPay good to use for cruises? I have lots of clients that use FlexPay. If you're not familiar with FlexPay, FlexPay is formerly known as Uplift, and it's a travel financing program where you can pretty much book a cruise and pay off your cruise in full, and then you make monthly payments to FlexPay or Uplift. And sometimes you can get it for 0% interest depending on your credit. And it's just really nice for those who, really don't have the money to put up front or don't want to pay it all off in full, but they want to take a trip and they want to make monthly payments. That's absolutely a way to do it. We do offer financing through FlexPay. So if you are looking to book a cruise and, we can send you a FlexPay application. It is secure. It doesn't give us any credit score. It doesn't tell us anything. It just tells us if you're approved. And if you're approved and you booked a cruise through us, it will send us like a digital credit card that we use to pay off your cruise. You get confirmation from the cruise line, and then you don't even deal with us to make payments in the future. You just contact FlexPay to make your payments. But yeah, I would say it's great for cruises, and I have a lot of clients that take advantage of that. Ray Ray says, what camera do you use for your content? Trying to get one for Christmas. You don't need anything fancy. Now, for the most part, my YouTube content is going to be either a GoPro. So I use a GoPro Hero 13, which I think I'm probably going to upgrade early next year. I've always used GoPro only because it's very simple to use. The issue with GoPros though is that you can't zoom in. So I kind of go between my GoPro and my cell phone. That's really all I use. I do use an Insta360. If you ever see shots that look unique, like a drone-like shot, or if you ever see a shot of me like on a balcony, people always ask when I'm standing on a balcony and it kind of spins around me. That is an Insta360. Absolutely love that tool. But yeah, my iPhone 16, 15, whatever I have, that's what I use for the most part between that and my GoPro Hero 13. But you don't really need anything expensive. Like you see some content creators that have big cameras and lights. I don't do all that. I just know that if I'm going to keep up with something, I need it to be as simple as possible. And I always have my phone on me, so it's easy enough to pick up my phone and film. The GoPro is pocket size, so it can go with me anywhere. I just don't have time to be toting around a big camera. Kudos to those that do. I just don't. And also, I kind of like to be somewhat discreet when I'm vlogging. I don't like the attention on me. I get a lot of attention whenever I do pull out my phone or camera or whatever, but I can only imagine having a huge camera and the looks and people saying things. So I try to avoid that. Um Young Speaker says, besides unpacking, what is the best things to do after a cruise? Um You mean after I get off the cruise or after I board the cruise? After I board the cruise, the first thing to do, well, you're probably going to do some things before you unpack because usually your cabin is not ready until, depending on when you get on the ship. We get on the ship usually around 11 o'clock. Most cruise lines, the cabin's not ready till 1. So we usually get a lay of the land of the ship, kind of just to kind of see where things are. Register kids for kids clubs, teens clubs. We get lunch. If there's anything that I want to register for, of like spa treatments, things like that, we'll do all of that first. But if you're talking about after a cruise, like once I get home, I usually get right back to work. I mean, I work when I'm on a cruise, but there's nothing special that I do when I get home. My husband unpacks for me. He washes my clothes and helps me almost repack because I tend to carry some of the same things. Um, but after a cruise, I guess the next best thing would be to book another cruise. And you can contact us to do that. And welcome into the 77 people watching. I appreciate you guys being here. And if you are new here, I'm RacQuelle from MH Family Adventures. And this is our Monday Midday Cruise Q&A where I answer your cruise questions. I just got off my 82nd cruise since 2019. And so I pretty much cruised most of the major cruise lines and moving into luxury and river cruising. And so I'm pretty knowledgeable when it comes to cruising. So if you have questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. And again, if you're looking to plan your next cruise vacation, you can go to our website, majoradventurestravel.com. There is an inquiry form at the top. If you can fill that out, we will respond and get you some cruise pricing and hopefully get you booked. Living and Cooking says February will be our first time cruising out of Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale is actually one of my favorites. Because of the proximity to the airport. I have an upcoming cruise soon out of Fort Lauderdale. And I always tell people, do as I say, not as I do. But a lot of times the cruises that return to Fort Lauderdale, they come in like 6, 7 o'clock. So I love Fort Lauderdale because I can book an earlier flight coming home. So like my next cruise out of Fort Lauderdale, I forgot when it is, it's soon. Our ship docks at 7, my flight's at 9:30. So I like that. Typically, you would want to wait until like 11:30 to get a flight coming home, but I know how to rush off the ship and get to the airport. But I like it because of the proximity. Now, one thing to know about getting into Fort Lauderdale, Port Everglades, sometimes there could be a line and a wait depending on the number of ships in port because it is a former military base. And so they actually have guards and you have to show your passport or ID as you go in. And so sometimes that slows things down. So if you're trying to hurry up and get to the ship, I would say go earlier because there could be a line trying to get in. Liam says, how's Andrew's apartment? Does he like it? He loves his apartment. He loves his apartment. Savvy Voyages, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Hope you are doing well. Unlearn and Eat says, if you had to choose one, Crystal Explorer for sure. I will go into, I hate to compare cruise lines, but because they are the only two luxury cruises that I've taken so far, it's kind of hard to not compare. So Crystal is a lot more expensive than Explorer. If you've ever booked Explorer, priced out Explorer, if you've reached out to me for pricing, Explorer can be expensive, but Crystal is even more expensive. But Crystal is also one of the older luxury lines. So they have some vintage style luxury cruising things. So it's a little different than Explorer. Explorer is new, so it's more modern luxury. So I think they attract a younger crowd, whereas like Explorer, the average is probably 60. Explorer Journeys, probably 50. So a younger crowd with Explorer. Their ships are spectacular, whereas Crystal Cruises, because this is a 22-year-old ship, it's older, so it doesn't feel luxurious. They have luxurious, they have really nice spaces, but because it's old, it's hard to in your mind to process this as this is luxurious because it looks old. It looks vintage. um, and so I would definitely say Explorer. Now, where Crystal exceeds Explorer is that Crystal for me had better entertainment. So they had nightly shows, they had a comedian, they had things happening that Explorer did not. And then I also think Crystal's service, level of service, with having the butlers, every cabin has a butler. You have two cabin stewards, and then Crystal. A lot of their crew members. Someone told me like 80% or so of their crew members have been with Crystal 15 years or longer, and so it is just a company that prides itself on bringing back the same crew. And so a lot of the loyalists on board that constantly cruise Crystal, they know the crew. The crew, they know them. I was seeing people talk, they're talking amongst each other's about amongst each other, about family related things. I'm like, well, how do they know each other? Well, it's because this lady has cruised Crystal 5 times and this has always been her butler or this, so it was kind of cool to see that. And so they have a really nice not turnover. They have a really good retention rate as far as keeping their crew. My butler had been with Crystal for 21 years. So that tells you a lot. A lot of times crew members don't last very long on cruise lines, maybe a few years, a couple of contracts, but it's different with Crystal. So for that reason, their level of service for me was higher than Explorer. But they were both great. But if I were to book one today, it would definitely be Explorer, which I just booked an Explorer one uh, last week. Welcome in Mickey's Adventures. Appreciate you being here. Happy Monday to you. Mickey says match the number of thumbs up with the participants. I appreciate that. Um, Unlearn and Eat says, have you ever used FlexPay to finance more than just the cruise portion? Yeah. Yeah, you can use FlexPay for pretty much anything travel related. So our agency does not book flights, but you can use FlexPay for flights. You can use it for insurance. You can use it for excursions. You can use it for a lot of things. The way I do it, particularly with my clients, for the most part, most of my clients are only using FlexPay for their cruise, insurance, and gratuities. But I've had some that wanted to use FlexPay. Like, let's say they did the pre-approval and they might have been approved $6,000, $7,000. And they're like, hey, can I put my excursions on there? So what I do is, before I finalize their application, I'll have them go on the cruise line's website, figure out which excursions they want, and then I kind of package that all together. And then I'll check them out using that same card for their cruise and their excursions or what have you. You can also use FlexPay for like Viator or Shore Cruise. So you can use it for a lot of different things. So my platform for FlexPay, so Carnival is the main supplier that I use FlexPay for, and they have an easy application right on their website. But my system allows me to use FlexPay pretty much for anything. So I can use it for any sort of travel. Welcome in, Lucina. I appreciate you being here. Happy Monday. Says I love that 360. Yes, me too. Me too. Big Murph, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Hope you are doing well. Ice the Black says, when on MSC Seashore, the Yacht Club restaurant was nice, but the specialty restaurants were a disappointment. How were the restaurants on MSC World America? And that's the thing. It's like MSC is kind of hit or miss. And it's so funny because I've been on Seashore and I enjoyed Seashore both times. And that would probably be my favorite MSC ship, right behind MSC World America. MSC World America, I had no issues with the food on MSC World America, but I also was only on board for 3 nights because I was part of the preview media sailing. I will be on board World America in a month, actually, for our MH family group cruise for Christmas. So we'll be on board for 7 days with a group of 65 people. So yeah, but overall, I felt like the food on MSC World America was great. Lucina says, are you booked for any of the new Celebrity River cruises? I am not. And there's reasons for that. For one, they sold out really fast. I actually had clients ready to book. And with river cruising, if you guys don't realize this, river cruising, there are only, a handful of cabins, maybe 50 cabins, sometimes less than that on a ship. So they sell out really fast. But also the price point for Celebrity, they kind of did a bait and switch. So they originally they kind of advertised like a starting price. And so I was very intrigued, like, okay, this is the starting price. It was nowhere near the starting price once they were released. So it was like a bait and switch. And when you look at river cruising, because it's something new to me, kind of like when I first started cruising. When I first started cruising, I started off with Carnival and then I made my way up. It's going to be the same thing with river cruising, only because I want to see how I feel about river cruising. And so going to the Celebrity, honestly, was probably one of the most expensive river cruises that I've seen. I've booked a couple of river cruises for clients, and I've been pricing them out because I'm looking for myself. And Celebrities is just kind of out the park. So I would probably start with like Riverside Cruising. I would start with Avalon. I would start with On the Waterways. So there are some other ones that are, river cruising is a little more expensive than ocean cruising, but those are kind of more entry level river cruising. So that's kind of where I would start, not Celebrity. And also, these are experts in river cruising. Celebrity is not yet. Ama Waterways, Avalon, Riverside Cruising, a few of the others, they've been doing it for years. So, let's see here. Young Speaker says that someone can only walk short distances and wants to book a beach cruise. What are best cruise ships that are not too big, have short walks to get around the ship, easy access to beach? That is a loaded question. I would say if you're looking to book, send me a message. I'll help you out. I would say that if you can only walk short distances and you want to have a beach cruise, you want to find a cruise that goes to like the private destination. So like Carnival goes to Celebration Key, they go to Half Moon Key, they go to Princess Cay, although you will have tenders involved. So that's something else to consider, is that you might have to get on a smaller boat to get to the island. So if you are needing wheelchair assistance, things like that, that could be a little bit of a challenge. But I would say just really look at the port that you're going to. Grand Turk would be a perfect port to go to if you're just looking to get to the beach and not have to walk too far. I mean, the pier can be kind of long, but there are like little bicyclists that'll get you to and from, and the beach is literally right there. So any port you can go to where the beach is right there is going to be great for you. As far as ships, it depends on the cruise line. Of course, you wouldn't want one of the mega ships, but you could do a mega ship and just rent a scooter, wheelchair, whatever you might need for the cruise, so you don't have to walk around as much. That would be my recommendation, because even with some of the smaller ships, you're still going to be walking a lot, because I can't tell you how many times I'm like, oh, I'm relieved because I'm on a smaller ship. But you're constantly going back and forth. You're going to the buffet, you're going to the shows, you're going back to your cabin, you're going here, you're going. So it's like, it's still a lot of walking, even if it's a smaller ship. So just keep that in mind. So I would say rent a scooter or wheelchair, even if you don't need it full time. It is just nice to have. You guys have seen my sister Cheryl, I call her Sister Auntie Cheryl. She walks, she's capable of walking, but sometimes walking long distances and walking for a long time can be a challenge. So sometimes she will rent a scooter. She doesn't always use a scooter throughout the cruise, but when she feels like she needs it, she uses it. There's no shame in that. So get what you need to make your cruise comfortable, make yourself comfortable on your cruise. And there are companies out there that can assist you with that. So like Special Needs Group, Scoot Around, those are some companies that you can reach out to rent those accessibility devices. Ron. I knew he was gonna pop in. And he knows this is not a new blouse. Welcome in, Miss Tiffy PD. Appreciate you being here. Liam says, don't forget to hit that like button. Babe, if you are watching, can you bring me some water? Because like my throat is a little sore. Liam says, how would you compare the food between Explorer, Crystal, and Celebrity? I'm trying to see how the food rates amongst the different levels of luxury. Explorer and Crystal's food is better than Celebrity's. And it's just truly those tiers. It's a different type of dining on luxury cruising. And so yeah, it's just a different type of dining. Celebrity's great. I love Celebrity's food. Um, but Explorer and Crystals are done. You're paying for the food. You're paying for the dining. Just to put in perspective, one of the restaurants that I ate at on Crystal was called Umi Uma, which is by Chef Nobu. Thank you. It is not. It is not. My headshot is in this blouse. Go back and look. One of the restaurants that I dined at was called Umi Uma by Chef Nobu, and Chef Nobu has restaurants all across the world, and it's included with your cruise fare at Crystal, at least to dine at once. If after the first time, you'll be charged $50 per person, but they said you can easily spend $200 per person if you visit by land. So just to put that in perspective, like you're looking at a $200 per person restaurant at a luxury line compared to a $40 to $50 restaurant on Celebrity. So you're paying for the food quality. It's different. I will say this, the food on Crystal was good, but it wasn't Explorer good for me. Like Explorer's food was top notch. And from what I heard, the entire dining team, like the culinary creative team or whatever you call them for Oceania, they were they transferred to Explorer. And Oceania has always been rated the top cruise food, period. And so I think that's what's happened with Explorer, is that they have that whole team with them now. So I haven't been on other luxury lines other than Explorer and Crystal so far. I do have some planned for the future. It it's definitely delicious. I mean, Explorer, everything was delicious. No, not a problem at all. And most of everything's made to order. Welcome in, Michelle. Appreciate you being here. Big Murph says that's good to know about FlexPay for packaging the entire cruise activities along with it. I'll have to keep that in mind. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I get clients all the time that want to use FlexPay. And I have some that, guys, like I tell you, there's no shame in nothing. Like if you have to book your cruise 3 years in advance and make small payments a long time along the way. So what? If you have to use FlexPay, so what? Don't let anyone tell you that you shouldn't be on vacation because you had to finance it. That's first off, it's none of their business. Secondly, you need to do what you need to do in your life to live a fulfilling life. And if that means taking a vacation from from working hard and living the life that you live, taking a break from the kids or the husband or the spouse or whoever to take a vacation or taking it together to build these memories, do what you need to do. That's just my belief. I honestly, and I tell people this all the time, I grew up in a poor household. We didn't travel. We didn't really know. We had a very loving household, very loving family. My father was retired Navy. My mom was a teacher for a short period of time. So we weren't rich in travel, but we were a very close knit family. And so I wish that my parents would have, possibly considered financing travel for us and this and that, because I would not have waited until I was in my 40s to really start traveling and doing things. And that's kind of what happened. But yeah, there's never any shame if you have to do that. Do what you need to do. Just be responsible with it. Don't, you know that you can't afford to make the payments and then do it. But if you know that, hey, this cruise is going to cost $1,500, I really don't have it, but I want to, take my kids for Christmas, you're going to probably spend more than that on their gifts, their Xboxes or whatever you're going to buy. Go to FlexPay, pay on it, pay $100 a month, take that vacation, make those memories. So there's never any shame there. Uh, What is this? Block Riches says cruising at the end of August out of Long Beach. Any experiences for hurricane season cruises? I cruise year round. I've only once been in like a rough storm, and that was on Margaritaville at Sea Islander in June. Um, I have not really experienced it. Now, cruises will do their best to go around a hurricane. Just plan to, first off, make sure you have some sort of travel insurance, because if the cruise line cancels because of potential hurricane or whatever, they're going to either refund you or give you credits. If you feel uncomfortable because you hear of a pending storm or you hear this and that, and you decide to cancel, there's no refund. So you need to make sure you have some level of insurance that will cover you in case you decide to cancel for any reason. And then if something were to happen, your flight cancels because of the storm, whatever, you need to make sure you're able to at least get back your cruise portion. So plan on that. But also, if you are cruising during hurricane season, don't plan a cruise that there's a destination on that itinerary that you absolutely must get to. For instance, if you are looking to renew your vows and you say, I want to go to St. Thomas to renew my vows, I personally would not plan that type of trip during hurricane season, because you're probably putting out money to get, somebody to take pictures when you're on the island, somebody to do the vow renewal, this and that, whatever. And if you miss port, you just missed port and you missed out on that celebration or whatever. So I would say hurricane season, I would save those special moments for those, and just know that you need to be flexible, because your itinerary can change at any minute. Your itinerary can change year round. That's just written into your cruise contract. So the cruise line can change your itinerary for any reason and not give you a refund. That's just kind of the nature of cruising. But it's more likely to change during hurricane season if there is a pending storm. So just be flexible, have travel insurance, seasickness patches, whatever, you'll be fine. But for the most part, I cruise year round and I've only been in one potential storm, and it got rocky, but it wasn't a hurricane. They go around those. Matthew, welcome in, says, do you have any Australian cruises coming up? I do not. I do not. At some point I will. Welcome in, Nia. Appreciate you being here. Desiree, welcome in, welcome in. Gaynell, thank you so much for being here. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the 90 people watching. I hope you guys hit that like button for me. And if you are new here and not subscribed, please consider subscribing. We appreciate that. Welcome in, Yvette. Liam says, I see you have a butler at home. I'm like, if he's chatting, I'm thirsty. Bring me some water, please. Kate Beat says, how are the updates to NCL Gem and Entertainment? We'll be sailing on her next August. I'm actually taking that same itinerary, but not in August. Um, I can't really compare the updates because I wasn't on the ship before the updates. I will tell you overall, I enjoyed NCL Gem. The entertainment was great. The food was just very hit or miss for me. Um, the buffet especially. Specialty dining was good. The buffet was just not good to me at all. But the entertainment was good. They had lots of They had the shows. I think they had a comedian one night. They do Deal or No Deal. They do not Wheel of Fortune. What is it? Price is Right. So they have different game shows and activities. So I enjoyed that, but overall entertainment was great. The casino was really nice too. So I would say if you're a casino player, play in the casino, but it is a smoking casino. Nia says, I always say God will provide. I'm taking the trip. Absolutely. I mean, you only have one life to live. So, I mean, if you said, and honestly, and I know he's listening, um, this is where me and Ron kind of differ because I'm you only live once. And he is not like that. And you guys probably don't see that, but I am truly like, you only live once. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And he has to think and contemplate and debate and create a list of pros and cons and think it through some more and then book it, then cancel it and then think through some more. And I just say, I'm putting the deposit down, it's gonna be paid. Whatever. It is what it is. So like I said, you only live once. And so yeah, so we're very different in that sense. So you guys probably don't see that. Savvy Void just says, preach on RacQuelle, it's no one's business. Everyone do what is best for them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mass Poet, welcome in, says, I love your vlogs, you being solo with friends and with family. You do an amazing job with explaining and exploring. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I get people sometimes saying, they get tired of seeing me by myself. They like the family element. So I think that I'm starting to target different pockets of people. And honestly, I think that might be affecting our analytics on YouTube because we're labeled a family channel, yes. But we're going through an evolution right now because we're still a family, but our kids are no longer kids. We have Andrew, who's grown. We have Dice, who's about to be grown. He's graduating this year. We have Joe Marie, who still wants to travel and this and that, or what have you. I do this full time, so I can't always wait to travel and do things when the family has their breaks from school or breaks from work. I go and do it. So yeah, you get that balance of me cruising solo. You get sometimes me with one of my sisters. You might get me and Ron soon, which doesn't happen often. You might get me with the kids or with one or two of the kids. So it's a hodgepodge for sure. I think it does affect our analytics on YouTube though, because YouTube really doesn't know what to categorize us as. Like, is it a solo cruising channel? Is it a family cruising channel? So, but I appreciate your support. Let's see here. K Beats says, I totally agree. People who have been on 50 plus cruises, mainly vloggers, getting comp cruises, telling people who may have never cruised before that they shouldn't finance it. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Like, do what you want to do. Just be responsible. That is the only thing that I say. And honestly, I don't say that to you at all. If you reach out to me to get financed, that's none of my business. Either you approve or you're not. And that is what it is. Like, I don't care what you do, but I would say, be responsible with it. That way you can continue to do it, because if you have decent credit and you get approved for the flex pay and you pay it off, then you can do the same thing for your cruise next year. So just be responsible with it. Nia says, don't forget to like the stream. I appreciate that. Tracy says, love your honesty. You are true to your soul. I appreciate that. Welcome in, Miss Jerry. Hope you are doing well. Says tips for NCL. Yes, because Miss Jerry, you're booked on Greece, right? I think. We have Greece 2027. We have 55 cabins. We had to close that group out for 2027, but I will be testing out that itinerary in next year, early next year. Oh, heading out Saturday on the Pride in Hawaii. Nice. Now that is an itinerary that I want to do, but I'm not too keen on NCL Pride. So you'll have to let me know how it is. So if you guys aren't familiar, NCL Pride is the only ship that does the inter islands for Hawaii. If you're trying to get to Hawaii by cruise, you're probably going to have to take a 10 to 15 night cruise just to get to 2 to 3 ports. So the one that Miss Jerry is on is pretty much a port every day. It might be one sea day. Picks up in Honolulu and it hits all of the major islands right there. So that's really nice. Young Speaker says, sailed MSC Seashore is a nice ship, but horrible food. I'm thinking of MSC Grandiosa for a 14-day cruise. Do you think the Grandiosa will have better food than Seashore? I mean, Grandiosa is currently sailing out of the US. I actually cruised Grandiosa out of Europe, and the food was hit or miss on that. If you guys caught our very first Mediterranean series, our Sisters Cruise, which if you are looking to go abroad, we do have space available for our Sisters Cruising Abroad this June 12th through the 19th on board MSC World Europa. But MSC Grandiosa, we were on board, and The food was hit or miss, but honestly, because it was such a port intensive port, we weren't as phased by it because we were eating outside the ship because it was every day was a port. And so we were off the ship more than we were on the ship. Um, I would think that MSC Grandiosa, if it's cruising out of the US when you go, it's probably very similar to MSC Seashore. But again, there's so many variables because it depends on the chefs. I mean, I'm assuming that the cruise lines each have their own recipe cards per se, but it depends on who's executing those. So that always varies because I've literally been on some of the same ships and I said, "Oh, I remember this steakhouse was the best steakhouse I've had." Then I go again and it's not. And it's because of the cook. So there's so many variables there. Welcome in, D2315. Appreciate you being here. Cruise and Ange, welcome in. Says, I'm one of RacQuelle's clients that makes monthly payments. She makes everything so easy. I appreciate you being a client. Yeah, I mean, however you want to pay it, it's fine with me. Just get it paid. That's all I ask. Just get it paid. Nia says, I can't wait for Greece. It's going to be amazing. Um, Liam says, speaking of Greece, when is the best time to get air ticket and what's the best airline? That's a loaded question because it depends on where your home port is or your home airport. And booking abroad, the rule of thumb is to book 6 to 9 months, 6 to 9 months, sometimes 4 to 6 months in advance. I would say 6 to 9 months is going to be your best bet to get the best pricing for a flight. NCL, because you are booked for Greece, you are booked for Greece. NCL does have a flight program. I'm not a fan of it because it doesn't give you flexibility. You won't even know they just changed it though, but you won't really know your flight plans until 30 days before your cruise, which I don't like. And then they can add as many layovers in there as they want, things like that. But I would say 6 to 9 months would be the best time to get your flight. Now, keep in mind for our Greece cruise, it is a one way. So you're not doing round trip. It's one way Athens, one way back from Ravenna, Venice. So keep that in mind. But as far as the airline, it just depends. I've flown Norse to Athens relatively cheap. The last time we did American Airlines, so it really just depends. I'm Shamika. Welcome in. Says I like the mix and content on your channel. I travel solo with family or just with me and my husband. Nice, yeah. And I like to mix it up because it's kind of I always miss cruising with the family. So like our next family cruise isn't until next month for Christmas. I like when we're all together. But as soon as that cruise is over, I'm ready to be by myself. so, so I'll usually have a solo cruise right after. Uh, oh yeah, Miss Jerry says I'm booked for Sisters Trip 2026. That's right. That's right. Kevin Murphy says, "Good hello and good afternoon. Appreciate you being here. Definitely interested in the Alaska cruise. If you haven't already, can you talk about the pre-cruise option?" So if you caught my hurt, hold on, we gotta get some water. If you caught my reel that I think I just posted right before this, we got asked if we were going to do um, Greece, Alaska, if we were going to do Alaska again. And what I'm trying to do is, if you guys have not picked up on it, I get asked a lot. I get a lot of people that are either new cruisers, solo cruisers, don't really know what to do when they're cruising, that just have this comfort in going with somebody that they believe knows what they're doing and can help guide and, just kind of be there as a point of reference. And so I'm starting to do more groups and sail with me's. Now the sail with me's are not as structured as the groups, whereas groups, like, we're having Zoom calls, we're talking about what's happening, we're trying to do everything together. Whereas the sail with me is, I'm on board, I'm going to share with you my excursion plans, my dining plans, kind of what I'm doing in port, and you can feel free to join me wherever you want to join me. So I'm doing more of those moving into 2026 and 2027, just because we have such an interest of people that want to cruise with us, whether it is as an official group or as a sail with me. And so Alaska came out because we cruised Alaska the first time 3 years ago. People were interested. We had a group cruise to Alaska in June. We didn't have a whole lot of people book. We had, I don't even remember, 18 people, 16 people, or whatever. That was part of our group cruise. The vlogs did pretty well. People were interested, started asking again. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to do an official group to Alaska, but we're going to do a sail with me to Alaska in July of 2027. And so if you are interested, I did share the information on social media, but it's going to be, you can do one of two things. You can join us for just the cruise portion, which is going to be on board Anthem of the Seas, July 30th through August 6th of 2027. Deposit is $250 per person, which is standard for Royal Caribbean. It's non-refundable, non-transferable. But we're going to be leaving from Seward, Alaska. So this is a one-way cruise. And where this one-way cruise is nice is because when you take a one-way cruise to Alaska, you get to see a little bit more as far as like the scenery and things than if you go Seattle to Seattle. So we're picking it up in Seward, Alaska, and it's going to end in Vancouver. And we're going to visit Hubbard Glacier, Juneau, Skagway, Ketchikan, Icy Strait Point, I think. If you want to join us for the cruise tour portion, which is a cruise tour can be anywhere between 3 to 8 days. So you can decide, hey, I want to spend time in Alaska. I want to spend 8 days in Alaska before the cruise or even after the cruise. That's what a cruise tour is. So you have activities planned for port before or after the cruise. So our cruise tour is only 3 days, and I didn't want to do it too long because I didn't know if people would be interested in being in Alaska that long. So our 3-day cruise tour will pick up in Anchorage. So if you're going to do the cruise portion, you'll just meet us in Seward on the ship. But if you are going to do the cruise tour portion, you will fly yourself to Anchorage, Alaska, and that's where the tour starts. So you will be picked up from the airport, taken to the hotel, which I think for Anchorage, it's the Anchorage Marriott, which is included with your cruise tour cost. So we're going to be in Anchorage, and then there's activities, things happening in Anchorage, and then we'll be going to Denali National Park, and staying Talkeetna, I think. And I don't. All the details are there. It's just I can't think of them off the top of my head. And then we're going to spend time there. We're going to be in Denali National Forest for like a tour there, spotting wildlife, all of that. And then the third day, which is also the cruise day, we have a tour where we're going to go through Kenai Fjords, through a boat tour, whale watching, spotting wildlife, this and that, and it'll eventually get us to the ship in Seward. So it's 3 days before the cruise, and you're going to have pretty much your accommodations covered for, your transfers from the airport to the hotel, and there's 3 different hotels or lodges involved during that stay. There's going to be a train tour. So one of those glass dome trains, you'll be on that for a good bit to spot wildlife and see, the nice terrain and what have you. And the only thing that's not included, so the cruise tour cost covers your cruise plus the cruise tour portion. But what's not included, your insurance is not included, gratuity is not included, and then your food during the cruise tour portion is not included. And so Royal Caribbean does not include food for that because they want people to have choices. And so let's say you're staying at this lodge and they're telling you, yeah, you're paying $30 per person to eat at this lodge. You might not want to eat there. You might want to eat at the diner down the street, or you might want to do something on your own. So food is not included. So just to give you an average cost right now for 2 people, actually I posted it. Right now for 2 people, let me pull it up real quick. Right now, for 2 people on the cruise, you would be looking at in an interior cabin, just to give you a price point as far as what the price difference would be if you did the cruise tour versus the actual cruise. So for 2 people, let's say in an interior cabin, you would be looking at a total of like $2,000 in an entry level interior on the ceiling, not including gratuities, taxes, or all this and that. But if you do the land portion is going to be an additional, like the cost is about, sorry, my computer's running slow. It's about $3,000 more total. So the cruise tour portion can be a little expensive, but it's all in what's included. The excursions are included for that. The activities are included for that. So, yeah, if you are interested. So yeah, for 2 people, you're starting off at about 5,400 for the cruise tour, which isn't bad because you could take a cruise for 5,400 and not have all of those inclusions there. So yeah, if you're interested, reach out. I'd love to help get you booked. Right now we have 3 booked for the cruise tour. We have 3 cabins booked for the cruise tour, so the full 10 days, and we have 2 booked for the cruise. So I don't anticipate this being a huge group, just like our last Alaska. But if you're interested, I would say book sooner than later. That way you have time to pay on it. Let's see here. Nia says usually around 6 months out, but what I do is set a Google flight price tracker for the dates I want to leave. I do the same thing. I do the same thing. Unlearn and Eat says thoughts on MSC for Alaska. I had no thoughts yet. I was originally booked for the first sailing and I had to cancel it because of something else that came up. Um, I like their itinerary. I will say that any port that visits Icy Strait Point is a place that you want to visit, and this is why. Um, so you guys have heard of Glacier Bay. Glacier Bay is like the most scenic area of Alaska. Icy Strait Point is the entryway into Icy Strait Point is the entryway into Glacier Bay. And so a lot of times you will not find Glacier Bay on itineraries. And when you do, it's usually more expensive. Glacier Bay is pretty much all Holland America and Princess because they are the cruise lines that have the permits to go through Glacier Bay. If you dock in Icy Strait Point, you can take tours that'll get you to Glacier Bay. So usually it's a cheaper way to get to Glacier Bay by finding something in Icy Strait Point and then taking a tour into part of Glacier Bay. Um, so it's usually a lot cheaper doing it that way. So I like their itinerary. Right now, too, their itinerary compared to like Royal Caribbean, compared to Carnival, they actually have a little bit more port time in some of the ports than some of the other cruise lines. If you guys aren't familiar with this, some of the cruise lines they have space in Alaska. So like Princess, Holland America, they are like the top for Alaska. So they have the longest port times. Usually they're the ones that don't need to tender, meaning you don't have to catch a smaller boat to land. So they have longer port times. If you guys have ever looked at, for instance, NCL, I just quoted somebody the other day, NCL for Alaska. And I'll be honest, I'm always honest with people. I encourage them not to book NCL. The reason being is their port times were hideous. And I broke down the port times for them. I said, hey, you are going to be in Juneau 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. Well, who's getting off the ship at 6 a.m.? But remember, there's going to be a time adjustment if you're not from that side of, if you're not from Seattle. So who's getting up at 6 a.m.? By the time you get up, have breakfast, get off the ship, it's going to be 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and you have to be back on by 1. Then they had another port stop that was like 4 hours long. It was really bad. So just when you're booking Alaska, look at the port times. Now for this Royal Caribbean cruise, we have nice port days. We have 8 to 9 hour port days. There are some Royal Caribbean itineraries where they're shorter. Carnival, they're shorter because they don't hold space in Alaska. So just a little tidbit there. So I can't really say about MSC. I will say that I like their itinerary. The ship, MSC Poesia, I think that's how you say it. It's an older ship. So I'm curious to see how that does for Alaska. But the older ships, smaller ships are better for Alaska because they can get closer to the glaciers. Barbara, welcome in, says, I love your honesty on surgery leave, but we'll definitely be contacting you when we're ready to cruise again. I hope you're doing well, Barbara. I appreciate you being here. Mama says you have a fantastic memory. I really don't. I really don't. Like I literally write everything down on sticky notes. If you ever see me, and Ron's probably laughing at me because I tend to look up when I'm talking. That kind of triggers my memory. So if you ever notice me like start looking away or looking up, I'm really thinking through my thoughts because I talk. My brain is constantly moving, so I have to think through what I'm going to say and what I'm talking about, and it helps me remember things. Agent Reese, welcome in. Says my wife and I become addicted to your channel. I just got back from Jubilee last week and going on Harmony of the Seas second time in January. Have a great time. We will be on Jubilee this year in 2026. We'll be on Jubilee. We were scheduled for Jubilee twice and just had things that came up. We were booked on the inaugural for Jubilee, but that got changed. Then we had a conflict, and then we booked Jubilee and we had an issue. So we have not had a chance to get on Jubilee yet, but we will be there later this year. Savvy Voyages says, I just did my first solo cruise on the NCL Jewel. I'm in the same boat. I can't always wait for the boys to travel with me due to school. My husband can't always take off his business to travel as much. Absolutely. I think sometimes people think I forget I'm married. I'm like, I have a whole husband. He's just always home. He's always working. I mean, he has his own thing and I do my own thing. And this is my business. It's not his yet. And so I mean, I can't stop what I'm doing because me doing what I'm doing has really helped our business to grow and grow quickly, thankfully. So I'm going to keep it up as long as I can. Um, is it Donia? It says, "Hi, Raquel. How did Crystal Cruise compare to Explorer?" I already covered this twice in this live stream, so please go back and check that out. I like Explorer better than Crystal, just to sum it up. Um, Crystal had better service, better entertainment, but Explorer has better ships, better food, better overall feel for me for Explorer. But I like both. If I were to pick one today to book, it would be Explorer for sure. Drea says, any thoughts on Disney Destiny, and would it be unusual for an adult to cruise on Disney without kids? I actually just released a vlog last week with me and my sister on board Disney Wish without kids. I probably would not cruise Disney again without kids unless I had like an amazing deal and I wanted to get the content. I wouldn't cruise Disney without kids, but no, it's not unusual at all. There were lots of adults, lots of solos on board that didn't have kids, and they have activities for the adults. They have activities for solos. So it's not unusual at all. But I think the people that are doing that, they have to absolutely like kids. You can't be somebody that wants to stay away from kids but cruise Disney. I have no thoughts on Disney Destiny because I have not cruised on it yet. But I will say this. I was on Disney Wish and I shared this in the vlog. There's something about those old Disney ships that for me stand out better than the newer ships. And I don't know, again, I haven't been on Disney Destiny yet, but like comparing Disney Dream to Disney Wish, I 100% prefer Disney Dream better than Disney Wish. It was just a different vibe. I felt like there were more characters around. The ship had like I don't want to say antique, but it was like it gave a more classic Disney feel, whereas Wish was more modern. Um, I felt like the service was a little better on Disney Dream. The only thing that I liked better on Disney Wish that they didn't have on Disney Dream was the rib spot, whatever that was called. Whatever when you first walk onto the Lido, there's a rib spot. Barbecue was good. That's the only thing they didn't have on Dream. So, but I am curious to see how Destiny, Treasure, and all of the newer ships compare, and I do plan to do a comparison. So at some point, you'll see me on board those ships. Liam says the Alaska land portion sounds nice on its own. Yeah, and that's the thing. Alaska is just so beautiful. There's so much to see and do, and you can't see and do it all on a cruise ship. So it's like, why not spend a few days there and just get a different feel? And like I said, we're literally moving from one spot to the next. So we're going to start in Anchorage. So whenever you land, so like we would probably fly in. We would probably even fly in the day before the cruise tour portion starts. And then once we land in Anchorage, let's see, I have the whole itinerary here. Once we land in Anchorage, there's going to be an air transfer that takes you to the hotel with your adventure specialist. It says you're then free to explore the city, visit a local craft brewery, which is going to be at your own cost. You can relax over a meal, you can stroll the urban trail, and then you're going to have an overnight at Anchorage Marriott. And then day two, we're going to travel from Anchorage to Denali. And so there you're going to scout the tundra and forest for wildlife with the park ranger after the tour. So it's like an all-day tour going through Denali National Park. And then at the end of that, you can book an optional excursion, like going flight seeing or rafting down the river. And then there's a stay at the Grizzly Bear Resort. So that is that stay for the second night. The third night is Denali to Anchorage. So we're going to spend time at the lodge, and then we're going to get on the Wilderness Express, which is a glass domed car or train, and it's going to take us to Talkeetna. And Talkeetna, we're going to get on a motor coach, drive to Anchorage, and all the while you're going to spot wildlife. You're going to see all of the scenic views of Anchorage in Alaska. And then later on that day, it's just kind of yours to have. We're going to be at the Anchorage Marriott. And then the next day, we're going to board the motor coach from Anchorage going to Seward. And before we get to Seward, before we get on the ship, because you get on the ship like you have to be on the ship by 5 or 6. We're going to spend all day leaving from Anchorage, going through Kenai Fjords National Park by boat. And then it'll eventually take us to the ship. So I think it's going to be worth it. Yeah, the single supplement. Yeah, you're right. The single supplement, and that's the unfortunate thing, is that Royal Caribbean just does not have many solo cabins. And like for this cruise tour, it's really double occupancy. So yeah, I would say try to find somebody to go with you. Do you only help book for US residents or Canadian as well? Yeah, we can book Canadian as long as you're paying in US dollars. Thank you so much, Mickey. Says match the number of likes with the number of participants. And I'm going to be on about 10 more minutes. So any last minute questions, feel free to ask. I heard folks say that Holland American Princess are the best cruise lines in Alaska. They are. What makes them the best, or how are they rated to be considered the best? So they are considered the best, one, because they've been cruising through Alaska the longest. Their ships are designed for Alaska. So you'll notice that most of Princess and Holland America ships are smaller. And so you need those smaller ships to get through the fjords, to get closer to the glacier. So they can do that because of the size of their ships. But they also bring on naturalists. Now, other cruise lines will do this, but they will like literally have like a resident naturalist on board, and they'll have seminars talking about the wildlife, talking about the glaciers, talking about, so every day you can expect 1 to 2 like seminars, lectures, whatever you call them. They'll bring on the husky dogs on board when you're in port. um, Holland America and Princess, for the most part, you can use your ship card or your medallion to pay for things in port. So that's just how connected they are to Alaska. So a lot of the ports, you get off in Ketchikan, all of the shops and things there, just pull your medallion out, tap it, you're good to go. So it's just, they've been doing it longer, the ships are designed for it, they just have a relationship with the tour providers, the people in Alaska. So yeah, they're ranked top, and they actually deploy most of their ships to Alaska for the Alaska season. So if you ever wonder why you don't really see Princess cruises in the Caribbean or Holland America in the Caribbean during the summertime, it's because they're in Alaska. They have the most ships cruising to Alaska. And they also have the longest port times, and because of their relationship in Alaska. And again, I mentioned the permits that they have to go to Glacier Bay, which is the most, one of the top. When people reach out to me for Alaska, 80% of the time they mention Glacier Bay. How can I get to Glacier Bay? You're not going to get to Glacier Bay on Royal Caribbean. You're not going to get to Glacier Bay on Carnival, NCL. You're only going to get to Glacier Bay by going with Holland or Princess or Icy Straight Point. Take a tour that way. Gaynell says, does Anthem of the Seas have solo cabins? They have a couple, but ironically, because I've priced some other people, ironically, the solo cabins are more than just booking double occupancy. I quoted someone a couple days ago for this particular cruise, and I want to say the solo ocean view cabin, I don't even remember, I'm just throwing some numbers out there, it was like $4,000, but it was 2,500 to book it, to book double occupancy. So I don't know what they're doing with their pricing, but they do have a few, but they're not priced as solo cabins. Good question. Have you cruised with Azamara? I will be in less than 2 weeks. If so, what are your thoughts? So I'll be cruising Azamara. Hmm. So if you guys are not familiar with Azamara, Azamara is, they're not really luxury. They're kind of mid-luxury, but more, I don't want to call them expedition. They're not quite luxury. They are very port intensive. So all as Azamara has the best. If you guys have never looked at Azamara's website, they have some of the best itineraries of any cruise line. And again, they are all over the world. And as you guys know, I do a lot of cruising abroad. Let me find my itinerary real quick. I will be on board Azamara. Um, let me find my itinerary. Yeah, I'll be on board Azamara in a couple of weeks. And just to give you an idea, so very, very port intensive. I don't think we have any sea days. Do I have any sea days? So I'll be picking this up in Barbados. Yeah, no sea days. No sea days. You guys know I love that. Not everyone likes port intensive. I cruise for ports. I don't cruise for the ships. I cruise for ports. And even if I have to repeat ports, I find something different to do in each port. So that's what I like. That keeps me excited about cruising. People always ask me, do you get tired of cruising? Yeah, I get tired of being on cruise ships, honestly. I get tired of eating cruise food, drinking drinks. I get tired of that, but I don't get tired of visiting ports. So yeah, so this port here, I'll be picking it up in Barbados. I'll be visiting Castries, St. Lucia. I'll be in Dominica. I'll be in St. Kitts. I'll be in Nevis. I'll be in Phillipsburg, St. Martin, Tortola, and then it ends in San Juan. So port intensive. So Azamara is somewhat luxury because they have more inclusions. Their ships are a little bit older, but the itineraries are where it's at. So they focus on the itinerary. They focus on the people. So you will have what they call an Azamara night, 1 or 2 per cruise. What that is is they bring the locals either on board or they have a venue set up in port where you can go experience more of what wherever you are. Um, and so we actually have, I forgot where our Azamara night is. But there's like a special performance on the ship. I think in St. Martin, maybe. So they're focused on the people and the destination. So if you've never looked at Azamara, look at Azamara. I can help you plan your Azamara cruise. I am really excited for this. They have more inclusions as well than some cruise lines. So like you have, um, was internet included? I can't recall, but you guys know I'm going to share all the details with you. So yes, I will be on Azamara soon. I'm really excited for this one. Um, so I'm sailing in July on MSC Alaska cruise with my grandchildren. Hope you have a great time. I think MSC is going to do well in Alaska. I really do like their itinerary compared to some of the other cruise lines. So I think you'll have a good time. I love the ports, but the cruise line not as much. Are you talking about Asmara? Very interesting. I'd love to hear more of your thoughts. I think you're talking about Asmara. Yeah, they do are very port intensive. Our Alaska cruise on Discovery Princess was amazing. Naturalists narrate Glacier Bay for us and gave us tons of valuable. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That is what Alaska, that's what Princess does. And I have yet to have a client cruise Alaska on Holland or Princess and have complaints. I just haven't. But I've had people complain on other cruise lines, and usually it's about the port times. The port times, because it's surprisingly people don't pay attention to that when they book cruises. And I don't always like share the times and things. A lot of times when people reach out to me to book a cruise, they already know what they want to book. So I just usually assume that you've kind of already looked at the itinerary, but you'll be surprised at how many people have no clue that they're only in port these times. So when I was talking to the one about NCL, it was like, oh, I didn't even know that. Like, yeah, very short port times. Um, let's see here. All right, looks like we're down to the end of the chat. Yeah, any last minute questions? I appreciate you guys tuning in today. As we just talked, but there's a lot going on right now. Liam says you do a lot of flying. For a frequent flyer, do you take advantage of a single airline or do you go with whoever's cheaper? Do you have a favorite airline? I go with whatever's cheapest. I'm not loyal to anything but my husband. That's it. I'm not, I go wherever the deal is. Cruise, airline, I'm not loyal to grocery store. I'm not loyal to anything. I'm just going to go wherever the best deal is, honestly. I fly Spirit more than anything, honestly, because I can fly Spirit to pretty much any place in Florida for typically, it used to be like $50 each way. Now it's more like under $100 each way, which is still good. So Spirit is probably where I have the greatest loyalty because I get them really cheap and I have no problem flying Spirit. But I've been flying a lot of American lately just because I've been going abroad a lot more and American seems to work better for my timeline. Thank you so much, Mickey. I appreciate that. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here this week. Let me see. So the next 2 Mondays, I will not be live for a Monday Midday Cruise Q&A because we have some things going on. The following, actually, might be 3 Mondays. I might try to go live Monday from Azamara, depending on what I'm doing. I'll let you guys know for sure. But you also have Thanksgiving coming up. So I know you guys are, I know I'm excited for Thanksgiving. So there's a lot going on this upcoming week. So I'm trying to think of when my next one is. Might not be till the first week of December. So just stay tuned because I'll schedule it. You can set that alert. Make sure you're subscribed, turn the notification bell on. That way, you know when I do go live. I'm also going to try my luck at going live on TikTok. I keep getting asked about going live on TikTok, and I keep saying I'm going to give it a try. People on TikTok, they're not always nice, and you guys are nice. I like Facebook. I like YouTube. Um, I don't know about TikTok, but I might try it out and do one of these chit chats or do one of these Monday Midday Cruise Q&A strictly on TikTok. So I'll let you guys know that. So maybe you can hop over there and show them how it's done. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Again, if you are looking to plan a cruise, feel free to reach out. We would love to help you. I can tell you that we're starting to ramp up right now for wave season. And I think it's going to be a very, very busy. We had a very busy year. I think it's going to be a very busy wave season. So if you're looking to book, I would not wait till wave season because our turnaround time might be a little bit longer than what it currently is. And then if it gets to be the point where, like it was last year, we had to stop accepting bookings just because of how busy it got. I don't want to get to that point. I mean, I do want to get to that point. I don't want to have to turn away people, but I can only do so much. So if you're looking, starting to think about 2026, 2027, reach out. We'd love to go ahead and help you out. Um, yeah, so appreciate you guys being here. I'm gonna go ahead and go heat up my gumbo. I made gumbo last night and I'm gonna rest. So appreciate you guys being here, and I don't know when I'll see you again, but it'll be here in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. You guys have a great week.